right, welcome back for another edition of Forgotten Firsts. I have hopefully now successfully moved this series, the Forgotten series, to Fridays, and keep this rotation going forward, because I think this will work a little bit better as far as my scheduling goes. So hopefully you like this series. This is the series where I talk about those forgotten firsts, those just possibly unknown first appearances you might not be aware of, or things that just people aren't looking at these days. Just those kind of forgotten characters, those lesser known characters, not your big time heroes and things like that. So again, hopefully you're enjoying this series. Let me know what you think in the comments. Please like, subscribe, hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. Keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And this week, if you haven't noticed, I have been showing off my merch, because we do have merch for sale on TeePublic and Teespring for both all the Rennavision stuff. And we've added the Dark Side stuff, because now we're going to have the Star Wars show just here on Rennavision going forward. It's no longer going to be simulcast on Tales from the Flip Side. So every Sunday, you're going to have to come to Rennavision to watch us talk about Star Wars, which hopefully you do, and hopefully you are doing that already, because it's a lot of fun. And if you like Star Wars, that is the place to be on Sunday. That all being said, I've got a different angle on some characters to look at for this week. Hopefully you guys don't mind taking a quick little trip to the DC universe. I know everybody loves Marvel these days, but let's not forget DC completely, all right? And if you want to see what we want to talk about this week for Forgotten First, just hang on for a few seconds after the intro, and I'll be right back with some characters and some books. Okay, so as I mentioned in the opening, we are going to be hitting up the DC universe this week for this episode of Forgotten Firsts. I know I haven't done a Forgotten Variants or later printings in a little bit, but we'll get back to those. I still have some characters I kind of want to talk about. And with DC fandom was now a couple of weeks ago, but I still think we need to pay attention to some of the things that we know are coming and were announced in that, in that time frame. And one of those things I don't want that thread to be lost is some of the updates that we got for the Aquaman sequel. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is going to be the title for Aquaman 2. And I know we do have some casting that they announced. So we have some new actors that are going to be welcoming themselves to the production as some new characters, some characters from the comics, and then replacing some actors that have already been, on the screen. But while we do that, let's just do a quick recap of some of the characters we know are also coming back to the sequel movie that we want to know what their first appearances are. So the first one I want to talk about is Aquaman 2 from October 2011. This was New 52, restarted up. This is the first Dr. Stephen Shin. Now, this was Randall Park's character, and I know you guys probably know Randall Park from the Marvel Universe as Jimmy Woo. Oh, I'm a fan of him. I like him as Jimmy Woo, but let's not forget he's also in the DC universe right now too. And I know a lot of people went for this book a while ago when they were making a Trench sequel or a Trench spin-off movie for the Aquaman universe that was secretly going to be a Black Manta movie. None of which matters anymore because that all got canceled. But we are getting Dr. Stephen Shin in the Aquaman sequel. So let's not forget about him completely. Again, Randall Park's playing the character. He's going to be a villain, I believe, of some kind, as he was in the comic books. And it could be an interesting, growth. Let's see where we go from here. Maybe they eventually do that sequel, that spinoff of Black Manta. And we saw that he was kind of connecting up with Black Manta at the end of that first movie. So let's see where things kind of play out from here. But as I said, this book heated up one time before, but let's see where we're at right now for this Aquaman 2 from the New 52. If you want to see what this thing kind of sells for, anywhere from like $9 to $20. So it's not a super expensive book, but it is a book that's going to be out there. And, there's a couple of eyes. And these are all sales from October 27th. So it's not that long ago. Pretty recent sales. People are still kind of paying attention to this book. So if you find this thing for cheap, you might do well for yourself with that. Plus, it's a pretty cool cover. I do like this cover. It's pretty engaging. And we're going to move on to another character that we know is coming back, even though it's not going to be the actor that we had once before. And this is from the Atlantis Chronicles, number 5 of 7, July 1990. This was the first appearance of Atlan. He is being replaced in this film. Initially, it was Graham McTavish, who was one of the dwarves in The Hobbit. And among other things, pretty cool actor. I like him. But apparently he's being replaced. But it's not like it's the first time he's been replaced, because they also showed Atlan in the Justice League movie, the Snyder Cut, and it was a different guy playing him there too. I don't know, remember the name of this actor offhand, but you can see even in the Justice League movie, they even had a different actor still playing him. So now they've recast him yet again. But we know he's coming back, so the character will be around in some fashion, I guess maybe flashback or something of that nature, I would guess. But again, this Atlantis Chronicles number 5 of 7 is the first for the character. So it's just something you should be mindful of. It's definitely a cheap book. It's not something I think that's on a lot of people's radars. Again, it's from 1990. The whole set basically sells for 15 to like $30. And that's, again, a whole handful of issues. There's 7 issues in this series. So not an expensive book, but just something to be mindful of. If you're curious of the first appearance for Atlan, there you go. It's Atlantis Chronicles number 5 of 7. We're going to go back to the New 52 with our next one for another returning character. And May 2013 now, because it's going to be Aquaman number 19. This is going to be the first Nereus. I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but this was Dolph Lundgren's character. You remember Dolph? Well, in the movie version, this was Mara's father. So it's a little bit different. This also featured a wraparound cover, which is kind of cool, or a little fold out, I guess you would say. Not a wraparound, but a gatefold, like fold out cover. But Aquaman and Mara there, pretty nice cover. But Nereus in the comics was Mara's husband, so it's going to be a little different. It played out differently in the comics than it did in the movies, because again, in the movies, Dolph Lundgren played her father. In the comics, it was her supposed husband or to-be husband. I don't know, but there was, the relationship was completely different in the comics than it was in the films. But we still know Dolph Lundgren's coming back, so we will see the character again in this Aquaman sequel. So just again, something to be mindful of when you're looking. But that's not the only reason I like this book, because you can see there we also get a little appearance of the Dead King, a character we're going to get into a little bit well in a minute, right after we get through this. But the pricing for this, if you want to know what this thing sells for, $8 to like $16. So again, not an expensive book. New 52. There's tons of these out there. You can probably even find these in dollar bins if you're out there looking. And I'd probably say, why not? Why not look at it? Because as I was just saying, the character there on the cover is the Dead King. Now, this has some possibilities, I think, for the other actor we know that's cast. This is not the first appearance of the Dead King character. That actually happened in our next book, which is from January 2013, Aquaman number 16. This is the first appearance of the Dead King inside here. And again, this is a pretty cool character, and one that we potentially could see as the villain of the sequel. We don't know exactly. Well, we know some of the villains that are going to show up. We don't know the whole plot line completely yet for this Aquaman sequel. I know there's some information came out, and we're going to get some more of those books as we go through this, but the Dead King is an option, I think, potentially of something we might see played out, and it could be played by this great villain from Game of Thrones. I mean, anyway, this actor Pilu Aspek, if I'm saying his name properly, he played Euron Greyjoy, in Game of Thrones. Excellent villain there. I think he could potentially be another villain here. His character has not been announced of who he is. He's a secret character. Perhaps he's playing the Dead King, potentially. Maybe there's some kind of callback we go to for this Lost Kingdom. I don't know. It's just something I think we should keep in mind and be mindful of. Something that could happen, potentially. All I know is this guy can play a villain pretty well, and I think this could be something cool to play out on screen, and just something to keep in mind. Again, dollar book. This is like a dollar book if you go looking for it. This Aquaman 16. Not a lot of people looking for this. And if you want to see how much it's actually selling for, well, there is one sold for $2. Okay, so maybe not a dollar book. It's a $2 book. So $2. One sold for. And this was all the way back in August. That's the last time this sold on eBay. In August, $2. So definitely not a ton of people looking for this thing out there. Okay, so for our next book, this goes all the way back to December of 1966. This is the first Necros. This is a location. This is in Aquaman number 30. Again, all the way back in 1966. This is the death of Aquaman, I believe, at the time that happened in this comic. And Necros is a location that could be the Lost Kingdom that we are actually going to have in the movie. I think there was even something teased on the, on the cards into DC fandom thing, but that is they're going to be the Lost Kingdom that we are discussing. So if we're talking about Necros, then there's also potential that Mongo, as silly as the name is, might be a villain that we also need to be aware of, because he was the ruler of this, this kingdom of Necros. Once again, Aquaman number 30, 1966, long time ago. This location could be the Lost Kingdom that's going to be covered in as part of the plot for the sequel. So why not be mindful of this first appearance here? And potentially maybe Pilu Asbake, if I'm saying his name right. Maybe Mongo is the character he's going to be playing as the villain that was the ruler of Necros. It's just something possible. It's just, again, it's not been announced. Again, Mongo is kind of a silly name. The Dead King sounds a lot cooler. Maybe they do an amalgam mashup of some kind on the characters, and that's what we end up getting on screen, as we know they like to do in the film adaptations of these comic books. Not everything goes word for word from the books, people, and it happens. So just be mindful of all this. These are all just potentials, things that could happen, could play out, and it might not play out exactly as you expect. But Mongo is a possibility. I can see, again, a nice villain for Euron Greyjoy to portray on screen. I think it would be kind of cool, and could be a menacing character, to say the least. But Aquaman number 30, all the way from back in 1966, and you would think that this thing was super expensive, but there still are some copies that sell for kind of cheap. I mean, look, $25, up to $65, but I mean, $25 isn't awful for a book of this age. So I don't know, just something to be mindful of. I think it still kind of fits that kind of forgotten first angle that I'm going with here. Now, I'm not talking about super expensive books, and I wouldn't consider this super expensive, so just something to be aware of. Who knows? We get first Necros and first Mongo in this book. Something to be aware of. And that's just, again, pure speculation. I don't know for sure what we're going to be getting in the film, apart from we know we are going to get the next character on screen because it's been cast. Green Lantern, number 24, from August 1963, is the first appearance of Karshan, which is that shark character. So we know this has been cast. I know a lot of people are probably expecting a huge shark character in the a la the King Shark that we've featured on the Flash show, as well as in the past Suicide Squad, but I don't think that's how we're getting. If you look at the actor cast here, it's probably not going to play out the same, and the look might be a little more humanoid in nature, and we might get the look that we have here from this Green Lantern, the original appearance, all the way back in 1963, where it's just kind of like a little shark person with just kind of a pointy nose. Looks a little bit like the Penguin with a fin on the top of the head. A little Tomar Ray action going here, but that's just my guess. The look might be something more similar to this for Karshan. This, again, evolved shark into a humanish type humanoid character. Because again, we're also talking about undersea and all that stuff. Who knows? Who knows for certain? But again, this is an old book, 1963, Green Lantern 24. You would think this would also potentially be super expensive, but it really isn't that all that bad. $20. Best offer on 60, $24. I mean, it's not super expensive. It's something that's attainable. There are copies out there, and if you want to go buy them, they're there. I'm not saying any of this is worth investing in. It's just kind of fun to know. So that is our last first, just based off the characters and the actors, some speculation, some that we know are getting the characters. So why not know where their first appearances are? And again, these aren't the main stars. These are probably going to be secondary characters. Even the villain, the villains we're talking about, they're probably going to share screen time. So, I mean, Black Man is probably still going to be the main focus of the big bad. Not main big bad, but the main villain we see mostly through the movie for those action sequences. But it's just good to be mindful of all this stuff as we move forward. And hopefully you like that. Hopefully you enjoy this series, and think it's worth taking the time to look into some of these lesser-known characters, these firsts that might be forgotten out there, and just get a little bit of pricing information on them, and see what's what. I don't know. I just like looking into this stuff anyway for my own personal edification. So me sitting down to film it for like 15, 20 minutes is no big deal on my part. I like it, actually. So I don't mind sharing the information that I come up with. So hopefully you enjoy it. Thanks for stopping by. If you do, let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Keep telling your friends, and let's keep growing the channel. Go check out the merch if you're interested. If not, no big deal. And I will see you guys with some more content soon.